no solution to the problem. So think about that. There are no solutions to the problem. He said, don't look at the problem. The answer is in your dream. Look at your dream again. So we're just raised and, trained to solve the problem. Solve the problem.
And not even look up from it.
Rip apart the problem. How can you overcome the problem? How can you, critical thinking on the problem when it's really, Terry is saying, forget the situation and the problem. Go back to your dream. Focus on your dream, and the solution will present itself.
Right.
And it's in alignment with your authentic self.
Yeah, isn't that profound?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
A whole completely different way of looking at it.
Because, even we teach our kids, right? How to look at a problem, how to look at the options, what are your alternatives.
Right.
But not so much...
Like, what's the outcome? What does the beautiful, happy ending look like?
What do you want that to look like?
What do you want it to look like?
That needs to be, that needs to be the common response.
Start there.
Not how to solve this.
And work backwards.
Yeah.
And I'm a backwards worker.
You don't say.
And I have, and sometimes I've run into problems with that because, but only when I talk about it out loud. If I keep it to myself and just on paper and I don't tell anybody, nobody can say that you can't do that. You can't.
In my head, it all works out perfectly every time. It's trying to put what's in my head either into words to someone else or try to figure out the steps and how to achieve that.
And that's where I think you have to just put one foot in front of the other, right? And just trust that it's going to be.
Control freak.
Yes.
I need a plan.
Yes.
Right. But, you were saying that, and I had a thought because last year I had an executive coach, and I do that, right? He said, so I sat down with him, and he said, so here's your biggest block. He said,
This is him talking to you?
He's telling me within 5 minutes over our breakfast, over our eggs. And I was like, I'm done. I don't know what else we're going to do today.
Out already. Yeah.
He said, what you do is you've got everything in your head. You figure it all out. You've got it all orchestrated. And you look at every angle. And you spend a lot of time doing that, right?
Seeing it from every angle. Okay.
You're processing it, overanalyzing it, looking at the pros and cons, but this is all in your head. And he said, and you don't step out of your head, and you don't brainstorm or ask someone for their insight. Somebody you trust, right? Somebody you trust, because you just having that conversation, playing that out with somebody will help you get to where you need to be a lot faster than you're sitting there spinning in your head.
Right.
He said, this is so profound too. He said, give somebody the honor of listening to you and helping you. Give somebody the honor. So because, we just, I know you're busy. I don't want to bother you.
We don't want to bother, right.
Give somebody the honor of listening to you and brainstorming with you.
Right.
And, because we think we're so smart. He said, you think you're so smart. You've got it all figured out.
Yeah, I was going to point out, too, one of your T-isms here mentioned that, too, because a lot of it is, maybe someone who's a little more controlling isn't going to want to ask for input because it doesn't align with what I already know.
Exactly.
I already know how this is going to work out.
Someone would know how it's going to outcomes, right? So if I ask someone, that's going to alter that outcome in some way, right? So it's a matter of somehow you've got to let go.
Right. That's
right.
Yeah,
and
that's really good. That's really the heart of the matter.
I learned this kind in real estate. Real estate taught me a lot of lessons. And when you're marketing a house and you go in and you can put this into any situation.
Okay.
You go in and you look at it and you try to picture who's going to buy it, and that's who you market to. Maybe it has 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, so of course a family would buy that.
Right.
And so then you get into this little advertising niche in your brain of how you're going to market that house, and you're not getting anybody looking at it. And so then you take your office through on office tour, and the people say, oh, this would be perfect for a couple whose parents are moving in with them.
Right.
Or, and they come up with all these different things that I didn't even think of because I was stuck visualizing. And so when I feel stuck like that, I go back to that real estate thing, and I do call people. Good. Or I run ideas by them because being here by myself all the time, I get stuck.
Right.
I get stuck. Yeah. Solopreneurs, that's a lonely business.
Yeah. Good point.
Right, and you've helped me many times.
Yeah, well, good.
Yes.
Yeah. We've had some great brainstorming sessions. Yeah.
Even when you used to be on my show long time ago when it first started, 5 years ago.
Oh, was it 5 years?
5 years.
Wow.
Isn't that something? Yeah, we used to have good conversations then, too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of fun. But, yeah, that's the thing, and I think that's the whole thing of not having preconceived ideas. Mm-hmm. I don't care who buys the freaking house. I want it sold.
Exactly.
Right. It's kind of like
so describe the house, not who's going to buy it.
Don't have it all planned out. Because once you have it in a box, you're not going to see the other possibilities, right? We already talked about that. Yeah. Great reminders.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like waking up with new eyes. You have to think of that every situation you're in, really. You have to have new eyes on things, or you get stuck in a rut. Your life gets stuck in a rut.
Keep your eye on the prize and let go of the process.
Well, that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah,
that's kind of
a
an oxymoron for a control freak now, isn't it? You want to write that one down?
Writing it down.
Write it on your mirror in lipstick when you get home. So, Beth, you are very successful and happy doing what you do. What do you think you attribute that to?
You know, when Terry was talking, there were a lot of things that I was like, wow, this is really validating because we had a lot of the similar beliefs. Like when he would boldly came out and said a couple of things. One was, I have never not realized my dream.
Yes.
Right? And I sat there and I thought, I have never not realized my dream either, right? So, and then he said, this was really bold too. He said, and he loves his family deeply.
Oh, yes.
He professed that, he is a family man. That's all
That's
he
all
ever
mama,
wanted,
papa, babies.
Right? Mama, papa, babies, right? But he said, and he looked at us as serious as a heart attack, right? That no one or nothing, not even my family or my kids, will ever get in between me and my dreams. And he was dead serious. Yes. And I had just had that conversation with somebody in a car like a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying, no one will, I was preaching, no one will ever get between me and my dreams. And the person is just like looking at me like, what? Whoa. How can you be like that driven, right? But it's just that gut tenacity, deep belief and confidence in yourself that I am worthy.
Right, and that's what it all boils down to, doesn't it?
It boils all down to that. So when you say, you're really successful, and I appreciate that, it's a lot of hard work. It's hard work every day.
Oh, yes. And yet something else he said, it's not really like work because you're doing what you love to do. What else would you be doing?
Right. No.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he said. I've never worked. I've
never worked a day in my life. Right.
50 years he's never worked. He loves his life.
And he said that how many times? I just love my life. And that's what I wish for you. I wish that you would love your life.
That's what, when we were talking about our whys.
Yes.
And I said to him, right? So
that is your why, yes.
Yeah. And he's like, I never wondered what my why was. Like, what's your purpose? What's your why? And I said, yeah, that's what your why is. You want everybody to love their life. But then he said, I can't do it for you.
That's right.
Nobody can do it for you.
Right.
Right? I can believe in you, like 200%, but I can't do it for you.
That's right. And then he kind of challenged us a little bit that, which was good because we all said some good things and we saw people grow while we were there. I mean, by the third day, we were seeing these people that came in there kind of meek.
In a cocoon.
Yes.
Really blossoming.
Yeah.
And there were, I can think of three really, that really took a deep look inside and changed or realized that this really was their dream. And before it was just like, oh, maybe someday I'll do this.
Right.
And they actually took action toward that while we were there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to think that the secret sauce, I mean, obviously Terry is an amazing facilitator and just down to earth, very, creates a safe atmosphere when you're in a workshop. But, there's something to be said about a collective small group of women coming together in a circle and seeing each other and supporting one another and not judging one another and just providing the space for people to speak their truth and to clap, because he always made us, we always clapped after everybody talked and really, really support one another. And that kind of atmosphere just breeds transformation.
It does.
Right? That's what I try to do. That's why I call them daring circles in my retreats and my luncheons and my workshops, because there is power. There is tremendous power when like-minded women come together and really see each other and support one another. And you know that.
Yes.
I mean, that's the basis of your business as well.
Yep. And one of my favorite divaisms is when divas gather, good things happen.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Now,
it is.
if there were a couple of men in that room with the 10 women, it might have been a little different.
It might have been a tad inhibiting, depending on the men.
Right. Would women have stood up there and cried and sobbed when they talked about their transformation? I don't know.
I don't think so. Maybe we would have been... I don't think
I
so.
don't think
we
so.
wouldn't have let
No.
that...
Vulnerability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not so good with that.
No, we're not.
So it was not planned, but it was planned.
It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, because you
That's
said...
what it sounds like.
Go ahead.
No, that's what it sounds like. It's just that it was perfect.
Yeah, because you had said, Deb, that people actually took action while they were in the workshop, right? I mean, so
you did
the first afternoon,
because he was talking to you.
Yeah.
He was talking right at you.
He was. It was the cheapest coaching session that I've ever had in my life, right? Why anybody would not have taken this class,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Everything you get out of it, right?
Yeah, so I had this ask. I needed to talk to somebody for like a year. I've been planning to ask this question. And, of course, I was limiting myself. And so first afternoon, I sat in the parking lot after the class and just was so inspired by Terry that I sent off an email to someone and I asked for a meeting. And that week, I met with 2 people and made my ask. And they were just like, well, of course. Absolutely. We support you 100%. And then Thursday, I went back to tell Terry, and he's like, and I was just so excited. Can you believe they said yes? And he said, well, of course they did.
Why wouldn't they?
Not?
Right. Why
he just made it
they?
seem like so easy and effortless.
Well,
and it was.
duh.
And it was.
Right.
And here I was like sweating for a year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So other things that he had us do at the very end, that we talked about power and what power meant to us. That was pretty profound too, wasn't it? What does power mean to you?
Well, Misty, why don't you go?
And don't say control.
I wouldn't dare. Power, to me, in one word, would be confidence. confidence in myself, and to have that kind of confidence would enable me to have the power